Welcome to the Late Night Load. Late Night Load.
Hey everybody, Web C here, and it is the Late Night Load, and we're just getting into it and getting things going. So, come on in, hang out, let's have a good time, let's have a good night. I was just talking with the guys, they were all like, yo, give me 5 minutes, give me 5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to give them 5 minutes and give me 5 minutes. We're opening up the phone, getting everybody all logged in, checked in, all that stuff real quick. So, have no fear. On tonight's show, we will be talking about lizard people. We got this cool video. Leprechaun sent in a video, and then I went out and found a video right after he sent that video in, just so we'd have some more stuff to talk about. But this, I think the one we're gonna start out with will be this one right here. So let's get the share screens up. Where's everybody else? Okay. Well, as you can see, this is where we're at. All right. We're done with that. Anyhow, some new things. Got things going on. Do we need to send out an invite? Invite the guys. Invite. No. Oh yeah. Snow everywhere, right? That's what we want to hear. Snow on the mountains, fire in the sky. Late Night Load. Late Night Load. Yo, pasty. Get your asses in gear, have no fear. Dun 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 dun. I'm just being weird now, huh? All right. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this. We'll give you guys the information as we get to it. All right. I don't like this at all. I don't know what happened. It went stupid.
Welcome back to Chasing Legends. I'm Micheal, your host again. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Here we are winding down the last Chasing Legends of the year. Before we get any further, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, go to our About section, check out legendofsuperstitionmountain.com for all the other information.
All right, so that's who is presenting this video for us to watch today is Legend of the Superstitious Mountain. I believe that's their YouTube channel and everything. Yeah, Legend of the Superstitious Mountain. So this is a very specific video, very specific reason. So let's show these guys some support. Head on over there, give those guys a quick look. Looky Lou, let me see if I can quick and hold on. I'm gonna be able to do something else too. Sure. Go back here. Oh, you know what? I can. Never mind. Yep. Okay. Oh no, we don't want to do that. That was the wrong thing. There we go. Right.
Chasing Legends.
Don't worry, I got this.
Welcome back to Chasing Legends. I'm Nite L.O.A.D, your host again. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Here we are winding down the last Chasing Legends of the year. Before we get any further, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, go to our About section, check out legendofsuperstitionmountain.com for all the other information. Bark notes, archival type of videos, all kinds of stuff. Continuing down our rabbit hole for this year and going into next year. This next story is one that Mr. Frank Augustine referenced. Now, he did a very, very brief, you could almost call it even, I don't know, he was shorter than brief. And we're going to take you there just so you revisit what he had to say.
When it comes to the Superstition Mountains, you hear a lot of stories and legends, UFOs, Mayans.
Just so you guys know, up in the top left corner, you can hit that QR code, and it'll bring you to the original video, so you don't have to watch it the way I'm watching it. You can go watch it through the QR code. So just so you know, but if you want to stay here, hang out, and listen to what I have to say about the video, then stay here and hang out. But just letting you know, original content creators up there in that QR code. Thank you very much. Credit given.
Lizardmen. Right before we started filming the Legend show, I was in the family room. And my wife Angie walks in. She looked at me and said, I'm worried about you and Woody going back in the mountains. I'm like, why? We can take care of ourselves. So she hands me her cell phone. She says, read this. But there's a story on there about an occurrence that supposedly took place in the superstition. There was this woman. She decided she's going to take a hike up one of the mountains. So she hikes all the way up, almost to the top of this one mountain. She looks across the valley. And she sees something shine. You know, like if you had a mirror, something reflecting off of it. So she climbs all the way down that mountain and hikes up the other one. And when she gets up by the shiny thing, she trips and she falls into like a cave.
Oh, man.
So when she fell, she's like laying on her back. And she opens her eyes up, and standing in front of her was this huge lizard man. And the lizard man had I won't say it, but you can imagine what it was. So the lizard man in the story rapes her. And the next thing she knows, she's on the Apache Trail driving toward Apache Junction. So I started laughing. And Angie looked at me seriously. She says, laugh now, cry later.
Okay, now, welcome back. We're going to go into the story, and the story is known. It's actually been out there and been published just before it's known as Angie. It has to do with someone named Angie. She has a sister named Susan. But other than that, we don't got much information about her. Sherry Hinkle was told the story by her sister Phyllis Davis. And Phyllis Davis supposedly met Angie and talked to her since they all material together. And Sherry Hinkle got the whole written story from Angie. She lived in Apache Junction. She had a little time off, and she liked to go out and hike in the foothills of the Superstition Mountains. So she goes out, and she's hiking one day, and she's just kind of hovering around. She looks up and sees a shiny rock. So she decides to hike up to that shiny rock. It's an outcropping of quartz, and it's really nice looking, but it's way too big to haul back down the mountain. So she works at it, trying to break off a small piece of it. She breaks off a little piece of it. I don't think, oh, that's kind of neat. All this stuff because she likes to collect little rocks from her trips. As she finishes this, she looks over and sees a little cave, and she's like, kind of get excited because she's like, wow, I wonder if that's something like archaeological, something in there, something indigenous, or what was that about? So she climbs up, works her way up to this cave, gets up to it, starts to look inside. And as she starts to go in, she realizes it's pretty clean. It doesn't look like even any animals been in there, but there's nothing else in there, nothing archaeological. A little disappointed, but it's cooler. Day's warmed up. She's enjoying the cool air in there. She sits there, drinks from her canteen, chills out for a while, and then she decides, well, I only got a little flashlight. She has a little flashlight on her keychain that she looks around in the cave with. But she said, it's not enough light really to walk all the way back down in the dark. So I'm going to have to get out of here, start back to my car. She goes to leave. Next thing she knows is she feels something grabs her by the leg. She looks back, thinks it's some people she knows or someone masks on. And she jokes with them, kind of like, what are you guys doing up here? What kind of prank is this? And then she just suddenly said, started getting kind of feeling alarmed, like, what's going on? Because they're being kind of rough. And then she blacks out. She doesn't really remember any of this initially at first. She just knows she went hiking. And we'll jump ahead and then come back to this because what happens is she wakes up in her car. And it's night, and she's driving, and she's kind of thrown off that she suddenly realizes.
Hey, what's up?
Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get on.
Do what?
I need you to send me an email with the link. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get on.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll do that. Well, you're supposed to be able to. You're an admin now. You're supposed to be able to just sign into.
Page, and it gave me an option to click on Get Pass, but there's nothing over there for the late night load.
Okay.
Trust me, I almost just gave up on the show tonight. I got so irritated.
Okay.
Last 20 minutes trying to figure out a way to get on.
All
And
right.
I can't log into my Facebook
No,
Messenger.
I'm going. Hold on.
I don't know my password because I don't use it other than on my phone when it's already logged on to. Trust me, you are my last resort of calling you to ask me for anything.
I just got to go to my Gmail and hit send.
I just got super irritated trying to do all this. I got to figure out a way to make this computer function for me since it's now my computer. But I got 2 days off, so one of my projects between tomorrow and Thursday will be making sure that this computer perfectly functions for the things I need it to because I'm the only one that uses it now on it.
Okay.
It just drives me nuts that it doesn't save or keep the things that I keep up on it.
I just got to. All I got to do is figure out.
Go to my history.
And so I was like, I got to go to where did my sent? Hold on. Because I'm just going to resend. It should be the same link.
I thought the internet the same, so I just went to my browser history to be able to find the link.
All right.
Mic check.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
We are in the process of making things work. Leprechaun, I just sent him an email. Hopefully that email gets him to here. I'm gonna double check too. So I'll be right back. I'm sorry. I thought everything was all good in the hood, but I was mistaken. I thought he had
right.
did the same thing before. So I'm just gonna.
This is a perfect opportunity for impromptu production.
Yep.
This is how it works behind the scenes. People, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to be here too. I was a little late, but yeah, this is exciting.
All right, Leprechaun is here. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going.
It's going.
Awesome. So I double sent that email to you.
No, yeah, I just like I said, I got the next couple of days off. I will be going through this laptop and making sure that it functions properly for me, so I can stop having these issues.
So
Because I definitely sat here for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, what the heck? Like I went into my email and I went to my my socials, and it tells me people's birthdays in my email and socials from Facebook Messenger and everything else, and I could see that you sent something through Messenger. I'm like, why is it pulling up the last thing on my socials is from Rocketeer from like 2 days ago? Like, why am I not getting today's? Like, no, yeah, it was the whole
that's so
thing.
weird.
It was
Yeah.
slightly irritating, but I'm here. I made it, and I'm excited.
Awesome. All right, so this dude's kind of been talking slow for the last 10 minutes. He's like a Jesse Ventura lookalike dude.
Yeah, with hair.
I know, right? You can see it, right? Ah,
Right.
brother, look at this. You don't know the conspiracy, brother. No, all right. So, anyways, these guys are really cool. You showed me that lizard video earlier, and it just made me think of like, oh, let's go look up some stuff. Well, these dudes are on a hunt. They're actually hunting for some lizard people. So that's what this is about. So they're talking and they're describing the beginning, the opening to what's going on. The audio is really quiet though, so I'm trying to be quiet on my end so it can play through. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh wow, he's really quiet.
She gets home. She ends up taking a shower for like 2 hours. She can't get herself clean. She's washing. She gets done. Gets herself dinner.
Yeah, that's super quiet.
Yeah, can we get that louder? That's going to be problematic.
Hold on. Can you hear it at all?
No.
So something weird happened.
It's getting toasty in here. I got to change my shirt.
But yeah, this audio is not getting good volume. That's why I was like, this is gonna probably piss me off about this video. And then I can't even have my headset plugged in because you guys can't hear me, or you guys can't hear the video with the headset. I don't know what the fucking USB device plugged in. Get the fuck out of here. All right.
I missed the new intro video. Oh, I'm so mad.
Yeah, it got played too.
I thought the audio turned out good. I liked it. I mean, we can still play around with it and make it better for sure, but I thought that was a fun improvement.
Right.
Next day, her sister Susan comes over and checks on her because she wasn't answering her phone. And after a few days of this, she's not really eating. David and
I was able to make it a little louder on my screen. It's not terrible now, or at least that last little bit wasn't.
And so with the release of Token Shop, we're also introducing a slew of new cards.
A slew?
I don't think it was that much. Can you hear it now?
I hear background music.
That's from the video.
welcome back to Chasing Legends. I'm Micheal, your host again. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Here we are winding down the last Chasing Legends of the year. Before we get any further, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification.
Wait, how bad is it?
About section.
It's
Check
good
it out.
enough on my side.
Information, mark notes, archival type videos, all kinds of stuff. Continuing down our rabbit hole for this year, to next year. This next story is one that Mr. Frank Augustine referenced. He did a very, very brief reference on how it take you there just so you revisit what Frank had to say.
When it comes to the Superstition Mountains, you hear a lot of stories.
Okay, they do better.
UFOs, Mayans, lizard men. Right before we started filming the Legend show, I was in the family room, and my wife Angie walks in. She looked at me and said, I'm worried about you and Woody going back in the mountains. I'm like, why? We can take care of ourselves. So she hands me her cell phone. She says, read this. But there's a story on there about an occurrence that supposedly took place in the Superstition. There was this woman. She decided she's going to take a hike up one of the mountains. So she hikes all the way up, almost to the top of this one mountain. She looks across the valley, and she sees something shine. You know, like if you had a mirror, something reflecting off of it. So she climbs all the way down that mountain and hikes up the other one. And when she gets up by the shiny thing, she trips and she falls into like a cave. So when she fell, she's like laying on her back, and she opens her eyes up. And standing there was a huge lizard man. The lizard man had a was. So the lizard man in the story rapes her, and the next thing she knows, she's on the Apache Trail driving toward Apache Junction. So I started laughing. And Angie looked at me seriously. She says, laugh now, cry later.
Okay, now, welcome back. We're going to go into the story, and the story is known. It's actually been out there and been published and so forth. It's known as Angie. It has to do with someone named Angie. She has a sister named Susan. But other than that, we don't got much information about her. Sherry Hinkle was told the story by her sister Phyllis Davis. And Phyllis Davis supposedly met Angie and talked to her and put all the material together. And then Sherry Hinkle got the whole written story that from the woman named Angie. That's who her name. She lived in Apache Junction. She had a little time off, and she liked to go out and hike in the foothills of the Superstition Mountains. So she goes out, and she's hiking one day, and she's just kind of covering around. She looks up and sees a shiny rock. So she decides to hike up to that shiny rock. It's an outcropping of quartz, and it's really nice looking, but it's way too big to haul back down the mountain. So she works at it, trying to break off a small piece of it. She breaks off a little piece of it, kind of think, oh, that's kind of neat, and all this stuff, because she likes to collect little rocks, take them on her trips. As she finishes this, she looks over and sees a little cave, and she's like, kind of get excited, because she's like, wow, I wonder if that's something like archaeological, it'd be something in there, something indigenous, or, you know, what was that about? So she climbs up, works her way up to this cave, gets up to it, starts to look inside, and as she starts to go in, she realizes it's pretty clean, doesn't look like even any animal's been in there, but there's nothing else in there, nothing archaeological. A little disappointed, but it's cooler. Day's warmed up, she's enjoying the cool air in there. She sits there, drinks from her canteen, chills out for a while, and then she decides, well, I only got a little flashlight. She has a little flashlight on her keychain that she looks around in the cave with, but she said, it's not enough light really to walk all the way back down in the dark, so I'm going to have to get out of here, start back to my car. She goes to leave. Next thing she knows is she feels something grabs her by the leg. She looks back, thinks it's some people she knows or someone with masks on, and she jokes with them, kind of like, what are you guys doing up here? What kind of prank is this? And then she just suddenly said, she started getting kind of feeling alarmed, like what's going on, because they're being kind of rough, and then she blacks out. She doesn't really remember any of this initially at first. She just knows she went hiking. And we'll jump ahead and then come back to this, because what happens is she wakes up in her car. And it's night, and she's driving, and she's kind of thrown off that she suddenly realizes she's driving like, where's my head been? Where's my mind been? What am I doing? I'm on the road heading home. She gets home. She ends up taking a shower for like 2 hours. She can't get herself clean. She's washing and washing. She gets done, makes herself dinner, turns on the TV. She says she couldn't watch the TV. She seems totally something's in the back of her mind bothering her. And then on top of it, additionally, she just picks at her food. She realizes she's not hungry. She's not feeling right. Next day, her sister Susan comes over and checks on her because she wasn't answering her phone, finds her in bed. After a few days of this, she's not really eating. She's just staying in bed. She's just kind of listless. Her sister convinces her to go to the doctor. She goes to the doctor. The doctor says it's probably the flu or something. Rest a little, get back to work. Spends a couple more days off. Pulls herself together, goes back to work. She works at a pet shop. She goes in the pet shop, everything's fine for a day or so.
Is it the neighbors?
Shut up. Then someone comes in with a lizard. She said she never had any problem with lizards on hikes and stuff. She'd see them and stuff like that. The first part of it, she said there was something revolting, terrorized her. She literally almost went into an anxiety or panic attack. And it bothered her, and she had to literally go home for the day because of this, because she just was so unnerved, but she had no clue why. She goes home, she talks to her sister, and then a friend, they talk to some friends, and a friend says, I have no therapist. Why don't you go to that and see what's there, because you can't remember anything. I don't know anything that's bothering you, but there's obviously something affecting you. So they take her to a hypnotherapist. He puts her under. He finds out that she'd been raped. He thinks, oh, okay, this is what happened. She'd been out, someone accosted her. She was raped, and she has this suppressed stuff. And then the hypnotherapist finds out she has this overlaid imagination where she has some sort of lizard people that have raped her. But then the hypnotherapist starts realizing there's way too much detail to this story. And he starts working with her on it. He really wants her to recommend her to someone else, but she doesn't want to talk to anybody else at this point, other than her sister, Sherry Hinkle's sister, Phyllis, and maybe another friend. She doesn't really want anyone else to know. So she tells the therapist, I'll just keep working with you. What comes out of the story is, so when she blacks out, it appears that it's when she's in that cave. Something grabbed her. She thought she saw someone wearing masks. She blacks out. When she wakes up, she's still in a cave, but it's not quite the same cave. She said she was in some sort of gelatin or gel or something. It was holding her down on something. She wasn't quite sure what she was on. She was trying to look around. There really wasn't anything, was it? And there were these lizard people. Now, she thought at that time that it was still something of a joke.
What's up?
She was on LSD.
Yeah, this is kind of like, one, it's really hard for me to hear, and two, like, I'm not getting a good image of what they're talking about. Like, this dude sucks at telling the story. So I guess she had like an abduction experience. She woke up, she was still driving, and she's trying to remember. This chick is trying to remember what happened to her. I guess that's where we're at, right? Like,
Yep.
So just to be clear, like, we're all paying attention, like, on that same track. Awesome. And yeah. So basically, I mean, it's a little weird. But before we move ahead, if you guys hit that QR code that's at the top corner of the screen right now, that'll bring you over to Leprechaun's Twitch page, where you can get more content from Leprechaun, where he's usually playing some pretty awesome video games and stuff. So hit that QR code up there at the top to see Leprechaun. And then from our sponsors, sorry, I hate to cover your face up there, Leprechaun, but just a cool RC drone. Hit that. That's from our sponsors. There'll also be a link over in the chat where you guys can hit that up. That's a cool RC drone from our sponsors at Clarksville Hobby Depot LLC. It was $250, and it's going on sale right now for $199. So head on over there and check that out. That's a cool deal from us for our sponsor. And thank you. We will be back to the show.
They had to be wearing masks and like some sort of like outfits. And someone playing a practical joke, and then she realized maybe this is really serious. They're going to rape me, but they're doing this to hide their identities. And so she tried to plead with them, was like, I don't know you. I've never seen your faces. Just let me go. She was hoping to get through to them. Now, she said two of them had kind of greenish skin. They had a ridge up on their top of their head. The green kind of turned into gray going down the backside. There was a lot of them wore little black outfits. They had a dragon within a circle that had a star in it, and then they had these other patterns on them. And some of them were black. The two that were with her primarily had on these, I remember it was white outfits, but the same decals or whatever. And she said they had very cruel eyes. So she's laying there and she starts to panic because she suddenly realizes, oh my God, I've been accosted by these people. They're wearing masks. Oh my God. She starts panicking, screaming, and just carrying on, fighting everything she can. And she said they had a blue light or something, in a box or something, they moved towards her. And she said, I'd black out again. So she comes to the second time. And this time she comes to, and she said she was in like an oval shaped room. And she lay in there, and there's still a few of those black, the lizard people in the black. And there's the ones that were in the white outfits, but now there's one in an orange jumpsuit. He has other insignia like these inverted triangles and different stuff. She said he had a badge on his chest that had like, it moved, like the stars in it moved and stuff. It was very kind of odd looking. And she's starting to realize the seriousness of what's going on, like she's losing her mind or something. Same gelatin type, whatever it is holding her down on something. And she's looking around this room. And she realizes the thing that's looking at her, all the others have yellow eyes. This one had blue. So she thought he seemed empathetic. So she was trying to tell it, please, please help me. Please help me. You're scaring me. And she said, and then it reached out, touched her with something. Her whole body relaxed, which was weird to her because she said, my mind's still scrambling. I'm still feeling mentally like I'm panicked, but my body is totally relaxed and it won't fight. She said, I'm just laying there and thinking, oh my God. So she's looking around the room, trying to figure out where am I, try to get any details for the police, what's happening. She looks over and sees these bags, some sort of bags hanging from the wall. And there's movement in them. And she says it reminded her of the movement in her dog's belly when it had puppies. And that put her into a panic attack. She turns her eyes, looks, and one of the reptilian creatures that's in white undoes his pants, and he's about to proceed to have sex with her. She says, then everything was...
Well, that just got kind of graphic.
She let loose. She's fighting, trying to get out of the gelatin, whatever it is, and she's starting to move herself forward, getting out of this stuff. And as she's starting to break free and stuff and starts screaming and yelling, something else happens, and boom, she goes completely to black again as she feels the things start to lean, the pressure come on her. So the therapist works with her for quite some time. She won't go in the mountains ever again. But she's like, she figures if these things ever want to get her, she has no defense. She's able to carry on with her life through the therapy and everything. And that's the story that Sherry Hinkle would tell on a number of radio shows and publish in a number of places. It's very interesting. The therapist himself said, told Angie, the girl in the story, is that he wouldn't have believed it, believed she was probably her imagination carried away, but he said there was so much detail of every piece of insignia, everything in the oval room. She had so much detail, but none of it was relevant to anything he'd ever heard of. So he said...
Okay, I want to stop right there. He just said none of the information that was just relayed was relevant, but if we correlate this with other cave incidences and what happens, creatures that are usually cloaked come out from the caves. They usually submit some sort of bright whitish blue light, and whoever their victims are usually have a blackout session. This is the most common reported thing. Now we know this is superly commonly reported. So those are all facts that like make me go, okay, well, this is a little more believable now. There's some weight to it because one, the story's being made at a time where this person who's making the story up has no knowledge, obviously outside of what happened to them, of how things happen inside these caves and stuff. Or, it's a really well laced hoax. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I almost got so many questions that can't even be answered. It's almost like bugging me. Like, this is probably one of the more unusual stories we've covered.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't even know how to follow up with what we've heard thus far. Really.
it took a left turn for me there. I didn't mean for it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean for it to go to that deep, dark of a story right there at that last few moments. But I mean, there's got to be. You would expect some sort of level of that kind of experimentation at some sort on behalf of any of the extraterrestrial species with us. I mean, like when we go to another planet eventually and meet other aliens, we're gonna probably wonder too. We're gonna be like, does it work?
We're just gonna start poking them without their permission.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Let's continue the story.
All right.
She had way too much detail, seemed to be really too much in the place, and he said she was genuinely seemed terrified. However, he worked with her on this therapy, and she led a normal life. She will deny this if she's ever contacted by someone. I don't know if they named Angie or Susan as actually a real person, or if those names were used just basically to cover up on this whole story. Now, the story, I find some interest in it, because now while this story happens in March of 2000, what's really odd is that there is a secondary story that goes with this. And the author of it, again, is Sherry Hinkle. Now, these are the two primary. I know you'll say, oh, there's other lizard stories and this and that. But it's kind of a bit of an odd thing because it's the same author again. And she did some interviews. Now, this one takes place sometime later in the 2000s, around 2010, that she starts telling it. She never gives a date or anything. She says her son Mark and his friend Harry are out exploring out behind their house by Black Mountain, what she calls Black Mountain. And while out there, they find this cave or something similar to what's on the other story. But this story has a little bit of a difference. They get in the cave and they're messing around and they find a door. It's like an iron door, but it's sealed shut or something. It looks very old. And they mess around with a little, nothing's happening. They try to take the door open and nothing. But as they're getting ready to leave, they're looking around and there's nothing really in there. But then they find this metal rod. It's a short metal rod and it has like a cap on the end. And there's some little kind of like some sort of glyphs on it. Not necessarily hieroglyphics or anything like that, but there's some sort of glyphs along it. So she said the boys kind of creeped out a little being in there, decided to get out. As soon as they got out and they're getting out, they looked back and they saw something greenish, grayish climbing out the hole that they went into and came out after them. So they ran home, got home, just out of breath, came home and started telling her all about the story. So we went up here, found this little cave opening, went down. There was another kind of opening there. We went in there. There's this door. All this stuff. She's kind of thinking they're making a lot of this up. But then they produce this little metal rod. And they show her the metal rod. She takes it and she's looking at it. Said there's nothing to twist on it, push on it, nothing. It's just like a solid metal rod with this little cap on it. The cap didn't do anything, come off. She looks at it, puts it aside, puts it away. Doesn't think anything more of it. Tells the boys to get to bed. She realizes they got an overactive imagination. Who knows what they found. That night, Mark's in bed, and he starts screaming and yelling. She comes running down the hall. He says he comes, meets her at the door. Something trying to get in my window. She goes over, pulls open the drapes, and there's this reptilian-looking thing with a greenish gray head. And it's got a hand on the window, and it's trying to work on the window. She has a flashlight. She's holding it at it. She's trying to reach around in the room and find something to kind of hit it with. He said suddenly it just stops. Stares at her, does a weird hissing noise, and then just is gone. So what Sherry said, she figured it wanted to retrieve that bar. So what she did was the next day she went out to that cave She just loudly talked about it outside, threw it back down into the hole, and they were never bothered again. Now, of course, everybody would see my little problem with this is we have two very different stories. One initially came to Sherry Hinkle. Suddenly, she's incorporated her son's friend in a different place. Very, very similar story happens. I've never met anyone that met this person named Angie or her sister Phyllis or any of the other people involved in this. So I don't know if these people are actual people. I've heard the alleged serpent people type thing. I've never met anyone that says they've encountered anything like that in the mountains or seen anything in these caves and stuff. I've been in plenty of caves down mine shafts, never seen anything like that. So it makes you kind of like take it like, let's take a grain of salt to these types of stories because they seem to be bred of individuals that suddenly become writers. They start putting out books. And Sherry Hinkle wrote several books and several pieces that was very focused on this underground bases with reptile people, and that becomes a big thing. She continues on, and the people have picked it up in the top. Now, we don't have any pictures of them or anything like that. We have several stories, but the stories seem to have similarities that always make me feel, rather than where you might say, well, the stories are similar, so it must be real. I always say, stories seem kind of similar, like they're just taking that one story and just keep developing it into other stories in other places. Superstition Mountains, for close to 50 years, I've never run into a reptile person or anything out there. So that's the fully developed version, and you can look that up because Sherry Hinkle's story is actually quite out there in a number of different shapes and forms. It's always the Angie story. It's always March of 2000. Generally out of Apache Junction. A lot of it stays the same. There's a little bit of changes and different things that are added in detail and not. I've never seen a blow-by-blow accounting or the actual transcript of whatever Angie would have sent Sherry, which is what we want to see, is like, what did this woman actually say to you? So there we go. I think Sherry Hinkle is still out there. I think she's up in Vegas, New Mexico somewhere. She's still out there fighting the good fight, writing books and articles about this UFO stuff. And I don't understand. I guess these things come from other planets and go down in caves and stuff and whatever, or impregnating people and doing all that kind of stuff. Who knows? Never met one. Don't really care to meet one, but hey, if they come by, they must go on their own way, right? So there's the fully developed idea of what Trank was trying to tell that time. And I don't blame him for wanting to go into detail because it gets a bit more ridiculous the more you tell it. But there you go, down another rabbit hole for everybody this week. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. So when you want to know where the reptile stories come from in the Superstition Mountains, this seems to be in 2000, the first one I ever heard of. And I'd heard of that stuff, but I don't remember as a kid in the 70s or 80s ever hearing about any of this stuff. So it seems to be much more of a modern-day development urban legend with the mountains. I asked them that around a number of people, and they couldn't come up with something real early about that. So that appears to be that. So we've tried, and we went around, and we, the Steve Brody story.
All right, I'm tired of listening to that guy. But, so, yeah, moral of the story is don't go out into the caves by yourself, I guess. So a lot more happened that kind of rang through with goblins from Kentucky, once again, it's another story describing somebody who lives near these places, these types of places with caves and stuff.
Subterranean.
And these creatures come
habitat.
out and fuck with them at night, tapping on their windows and shit and stuff like that.
The one thing that bugged me about that, though, is, I mean, in one story we're talking about them having, all this crazy, unexplainable technology, and then in the other story, it just can't get in a window.
Yeah, that's
like that. That is kind of, it's like, all right, like I don't. I mean,
no,
if this thing came all the way out of its clave and went into this town or village or city, whatever, to retrieve something, you'd think at that point they're just fucking busting in the window, grabbing what they wanted to grab, and bouncing the hell out, not trying to like be all stealthy. And I don't know. That part of it,
the local bodega.
that part of it just kind of messes me a little. we got here? What's this?
So that was the big video game announcement that happened yesterday. Yesterday. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. I mean, like, we were hoping for this game to come along eventually, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
for these newer systems, like definitely getting one or a good reboot of the first Tenkaichi. But hey, I'm happy with the 4 instead of them doing a reboot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I,
especially
I
if they add a bunch of the newer characters to it as
I
well. To
just hope they don't do the microtransaction shit that they did with the other one, Xenogears or whatever, Xenosaga or whatever, that one. They did all those
Xenoverse.
microtransactions, and that kind of ruined it for me. I was like, what? I can't unlock these characters? I have to buy them? So that was kind of a lame thing. So I hope in this one they actually just give you a full game and let it be the full game
Yeah.
type of a thing. So that's what I'm hoping for. And they're boasting that, Goku Blue, so we'll definitely be able to see at least Frieza Gold, Goku Blue, and Vegeta Blue, so that would be
Well,
pretty
I'd
cool.
hope that they'd bring some more other characters though from the universe tournaments.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What else?
In 1996, a committee of leading astronomers led by Alan Dressler formally recommended that
This video is brought to us by Future Space. Future Space on YouTube. They do a lot of good videos. They're just talking about some stuff that the James Webb Space Telescope has picked up on. So let's give this a listen. Much better audio in this video.
to develop a space telescope that could observe the heavens in infrared light, the wavelength that enables astronomers to see through dust and gas clouds and expands humanity's view of the universe. The proposed telescope would have a diameter of more than 4 meters and operate in an orbit beyond the moon. Its powerful capabilities would enable astronomers to peer even deeper into space and understand things that happened further back in time, pivoting us with a much more comprehensive understanding of the universe as we know it today. And, well, let's just capture the clearest image seen in history. Join us in this video as we take a closer look at what the James Webb Telescope has been up to and how it could change everything. But before we get into that, let's reel it back to the James Webb Telescope itself. The James Webb Telescope, how it all began. After the initial recommendation for the telescope in 1996, 3 teams of scientists and engineers from both public and private sectors met to assess NASA's feasibility in building the proposed telescope. All 3 teams concluded that the telescope could be built, and in 1997, NASA agreed to fund additional studies to further refine its technical and financial requirements.
Some say that in Survivor.io, you can't clear rounds if you only upgrade 1 skill. I don't believe that. I'm going to put that.
By 2002,
Quick commercial, quick let you know. BOGO, Kit Bash Gundam stickers. It's actually a buy 3 sale. Just hit the QR code, link in the chat. All right.
the agency had selected teams to build the key instruments for the telescope, as well as an advisory group of astronomers to provide guidance for its construction. That same year, the telescope was officially named the James Webb Space Telescope, in honor of NASA's former administrator who made significant contributions to the development of the Apollo program. As construction on the Webb telescope began in 2004, engineers and astronomers were faced with the challenge of creating new technologies and processes to meet the demanding scientific requirements of the mission. Unlike Hubble, which could be repaired and upgraded by astronauts working from Earth, Webb would have to operate at an unserviceable distance while still meeting its many demands. Despite these challenges, the team successfully completed all 18 mirror segments and conducted rigorous testing to ensure that they met the required specifications. Things were officially at the point where you could actually picture the telescope getting into space successfully and getting the work it needed to be done. The construction for the James Webb Space Telescope as a whole began in 2012 and continued through 2013, with individual pieces of the telescope being constructed at a variety of locations across the globe. In 2013, construction began on Webb's sun shield layers, which protect the telescope from excess heat and allow it to function effectively in space. Over the next several years, Webb's various scientific instruments were subjected to rigorous tests of extreme temperature and vibration, and its 18 individual mirrors were carefully installed onto the telescope's backplane structure. In 2017, all of these components were integrated together and tested at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. In addition to being able to withstand the effects of Hurricane Harvey without any problems, the telescope and its instruments also completed a final round of environmental testing in a giant thermal vacuum chamber to ensure their proper functioning once deployed in space. Finally, on December 25th, 2021 at 7:20 a.m. EST, Webb was launched into orbit around the Earth. So how exactly does the telescope work? The thing about
fucking
space
cold.
exploration
That's
is
how it
that
works.
things are often oversimplified, so it sometimes doesn't make much sense when you first hear about this telescope. It might sound like yet another telescope, but it's not. It's extremely unique. That's why it took decades for it to go from conception to actually making it to launch day in the first place. The James Webb Telescope is a powerful infrared telescope designed to observe celestial objects that are too cool or faint to be observed using traditional telescopes. These objects include stars, nebulae, and planets in the early stages of their development.
Nebulae.
Since these celestial bodies emit most of their heat as infrared radiation, the researchers made sure that this telescope is optimized for capturing this type of radiation and allowing us to better understand these distant objects. Infrared radiation is unable to pass through gas and dust, making it appear opaque to the human eye. However, the Hubble telescope is able to see visible light and infrared radiation, as well as ultraviolet radiation. This allows it to image objects obscured by gas and dust, giving us a clearer picture of distant phenomena in the cosmos. Additionally, infrared radiation can be used as a tool for studying the properties of materials on Earth, such as their chemical composition or temperature. Thus, infrared radiation has many important applications in astronomy, science, and technology. It can help us to better understand the structure and evolution of stars, galaxies, and other astronomical objects, or it can be used to detect signs of chemical pollution in our environment. To achieve this goal, the telescope is equipped with a large mirror array, advanced imaging and spectroscopy equipment, and state-of-the-art thermal control systems that allow it to operate in extreme conditions, which, as you know,
But don't get scared,
is.
people. It's
This
for science
telescope
only.
is supposed to wander the open space all on its own, so it needed to be designed in a way where it could tackle anything out there, no help necessary. After the
The
telescope
William Perry of
and
telescopes.
separated from its launch vehicle, it unfolded and began.
What are you saying?
It's the William Perry of telescopes. It just tackles whatever job it has. You know, and I was like, don't be scared, people. This thing is crazy fucking able to see whatever it is you're shitting out, but it's only for science. So don't be scared.
Yeah, so he's getting real into the technicalities and stuff. But I've learned that if I try to fast forward on these things, I'll skip the part we want to actually hear. They're saying this telescope saw lights on a planet.
Right.
To journey to its destination, executing a complex deployment sequence along the way. This process involved a number of important steps, including crossing the moon and separating it into different pieces. Once fully deployed, the telescope began operating as one of the most advanced instruments of its kind.
Oh, yeah.
If you're
Rock
just
on.
starting to play this game,
That picture
do
was
not hatch the
amazing.
dragon egg at the start.
Wow, this is
You
amazing.
don't have much resources.
Is this
How the James Webb Telescope made it to space. Before we get into the discoveries this revolutionary telescope had made, let's take a look at the process it had to go through to make it into space. The first thing was its stationary mirror wings were extended, giving the bottom and observe galaxies as they were in their earlier stages of formation. Because you see, light takes time to travel. The farther away a galaxy is, the older it appears. With its unprecedented ability to observe distant galaxies, the telescope can examine the early evolution of galaxies to better understand their formation and evolution. By analyzing different galaxies at various stages of development, scientists like Einstein can piece together a comprehensive picture of galaxy formation and evolution over time. Webb's infrared capabilities make it perfectly suited for observing distant galaxies. Due to the expansion of the universe, light from these galaxies is stretched out over time, shifting its wavelength from visible or ultraviolet to infrared. With its large and cold design, Webb excels at detecting infrared signals, allowing it to see much deeper into space than other telescopes. This gives it a unique ability to observe galaxies as they are growing and developing, capturing snapshots of their evolution over time. Thanks to Webb, we can gain new insights into the formation and growth of galaxies, furthering our understanding of the universe as a whole. Study stars from the literal point of their birth. Stars form from dense clouds of gas and dust known as stellar nurseries.
Pumbaa was
These
right.
clouds are so dense that visible light is unable to penetrate them, making it difficult for scientists to observe them using conventional telescopes. However, infrared light can pass through the dusty clouds more easily than visible light can, giving scientists a unique view into the heart of these stellar nurseries. The infrared capabilities of the Webb telescope will enable scientists to study these regions in much greater depth than was previously possible. Marcia Recke, an infrared astronomer at the University of Arizona and principal investigator of one of Webb's cameras, explains that this is because red light can pass through the dust in our atmosphere better than the shorter wavelengths like blue light. In addition, infrared light can penetrate even deeper into dusty galaxies than visible light. For example, when we look at a setting sun, it appears redder than it does in the daytime due to this phenomenon. With its enhanced infrared capabilities, Hubble has been able to study stellar formation only on a superficial level. In contrast, Webb's broader range of infrared wavelengths will enable scientists to peer deeper into the dust and gain a more comprehensive understanding of how stars are born and develop. Give us insight into black holes. Black holes are some of the most mysterious phenomena in the universe, as they are literally invisible to us due to their ability to infrared and include carbon dioxide and oxygen or our alien words. However, with more portability, as the JWST has been able to detect light directly from exoplanets using several different methods. One
This is what
example
we
is its
wanted to hear.
ability to image Jupiter-class planets like HIP 65426 using the transit technique, which involves observing the planet as it passes in front of its host star and blocks some of its light. In addition to this method, JWST observations have also found evidence of water and carbon dioxide in the atmospheres of two Jupiter-sized exoplanets through the transit method. These observations indicate that JWST is functioning better than expected, allowing for more detailed and sensitive studies of exoplanets. Overall, these findings suggest that JWST not only has the potential to study planets beyond our solar system, but can bring us a staggering amount of information that we could have only hoped for in the past. Then we've got faraway galaxies. The astronomers observe objects in the universe that are farther away from us. They are able to see light that has been shifted toward longer, redder wavelengths. This phenomenon is known as the Doppler effect, and it occurs because of the expansion of the universe. To take advantage of this effect, NASA designed the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, which can detect the earliest galaxies in the universe that formed just a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. Initial observations with JWST have already revealed many candidate galaxies at these early times, proving that astronomers may now be able to study the very earliest moments of cosmic history using this telescope alone. With other pieces of revolutionary technology chiming in on top of this, we might be getting answers to questions that were long thought way too complicated to even approach. Finally, the one you've all been waiting for, the clearest image in history. In the beginning of this video, we talked about how the James Webb Telescope just captured the clearest image in history. And well, now that you know about the inner workings of the telescope itself, let's talk about the image that's making the world of science spin. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has just captured the clearest view yet of Neptune's rings, which have not been seen in detail since NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft imaged them more than 30 years ago. In addition to revealing the bright narrow rings surrounding the ice giant planet, Webb's cameras revealed that these rings are composed of millions of tiny dust-sized particles that scatter light in unique ways. Neptune's high-resolution image also provides new insights into the complex weather patterns on Neptune, including long-reaching cloud bands and turbulent storms. Scientists are still studying these features to better understand the planet's dynamic atmosphere. In addition to being an incredible scientific tool for observing the universe, Webb is also a powerful tool for studying our own planet. By studying atmospheres and weather patterns of distant planets like Neptune, scientists can learn more about how weather works here on Earth. With its impressive resolution and sensitivity, Webb promises to revolutionize our understanding of planetary systems throughout the galaxy and beyond. We can't wait to see what discoveries it will uncover in the years to come.
Okay, so if we aim this at our planet, like back at us, and we pick up like exactly the readout of what it is our planet gives off, and then we looked out into the universe and looked for an exact match of a readout like that, wouldn't we technically be looking wouldn't that like be the calculation for finding more planets like ours?
Theoretically, but we can't see that far now still, because what we can see isn't anything like our planet.
That's my wonderment, Like,
But I would think that would be a good key point to find. If that's what we're looking for, find that signal, because it's what it is, putting off a specific wavelength of light, gases. If that's what we're looking for, we can hone into it. But right now, I guess we can only see so far. They think they know what they can see, and it's just nothing
Well,
special.
I mean, they've already, kind of figured out how to look for, planets that are considered in the sweet spot, and how to. I mean, they've already found a bunch of planets that are similar to ours. I mean, that's not anything new.
But yeah, Elon Musk wants to do this thing with Mars, right? He's a pioneer of the space travel. I mean, well, I guess Jeff Bezos did when he started taking people for rides, but that's tourist travel. But to be getting cargo onto Mars, it's gonna be epic.
Yeah, it's. I mean, figure the things that my kids will see in their lifetime, as far as space travel goes, I think is going to be pretty incredible. That picture's funny.
All right.
In 19...
Before you guys
This
start
video is
that,
brought to us by Denver Michaels, and this one is City of Lizard People Beneath Los Angeles.
oh Lord.
33,
Oh yeah.
a geophysicist and mining engineer named George Warren Shufeldt learned of a Hopi legend of a race of people called the Lizard People who built a massive underground city beneath the city
It's
of
1
Los
o'clock, Mike. I'm gonna bounce out of here because I gotta get started early in the morning.
Angeles, named Chief Greenleaf. Using an X-ray machine, Shufeldt verified the existence of the city and began drilling operations to get boots on the ground in LA's catacombs.
Talk to you later, buddy.
An article for the Los Angeles Times titled Lizard People's Catacomb City Hunted. Engineers sink shaft under the Fort Moore Hill to find maze of tunnels and priceless treasures of legendary inhabitants chronicled the tale. The piece appeared in the January 29, 1934 issue and is often cited by those who believe that our planet has been infiltrated by an evil race of reptile-like beings. The text of the article is as follows. Busy Los Angeles, although little realizing it in the hustle and bustle of modern existence, stands above a lost city of catacombs filled with incalculable treasure and imperishable records of a race of humans further advanced intellectually and scientifically than even the highest type of present-day employees, in the belief of G. Warren Shufeldt, geophysical engineer, now engaged in an attempt to wrest from the lost city deep in the earth below Fort Moore the secrets of the lizard people of legendary fame in the medicine lodges of the American Indian. So firmly does Shufeldt believe, and a little staff of assistants believe, in the maze of catacombs and priceless golden tablets are to be found beneath downtown Los Angeles, that the engineer and his aides have already driven a shaft 250 feet into the ground. Shufeldt learned of the legend of the lizard people after his radio X-ray landed him hither and yon over an area extending from the public library on West 5th Street to the Southwest Museum on Museum Drive at the foot of Mount Washington. I knew I was over a pattern of tunnels, the engineer explained yesterday, and I had mapped out the course of the tunnels, the position of large rooms scattered along the tunnel route, as well as the position of deposits of gold, but I couldn't understand the meaning of it. According to the legend, as imparted to Shufeldt by Macklin, the radio X-ray has revealed the location of one of the 3 lost cities of the Pacific Coast, the local one having been dug by the lizard people after the Great Catastrophe, which occurred about 5,000 years ago. This legendary catastrophe was in the form of a huge tongue of fire, which came out of the southwest, destroying all life in its path, the path being several hundred miles wide. The city underground was dug as a means of escaping future fires. The lost city, dug with powerful chemicals by the lizard people instead of a pick and shovel, was drained into the ocean where the tunnels began, according to legend. The tide passing daily in and out of the lower tunnel portals and forcing air into the upper tunnels, providing ventilation, and cleansed and sanitized the lower tunnels, the legend states. Large rooms in the domes of the hills above the city labyrinths housed 1,000 families in a manner of tall buildings, and imperishable food supplies of the herb variety were stored in the catacombs to provide sustenance for the lizard folk and for great lengths of time as the fire swept over the earth. The lizard people, the legend has it, regarded the lizard as a symbol of long life. Their cities laid out like a lizard, according to the legend, its tail to the southwest, far below 5th and Hope Streets, and its head to the northeast at Lookout and Marta Streets. The city's key room is situated directly under South Broadway near 2nd Street, according to Shufeldt and the legend. The key room is the directory to all parts of the city and to all record tablets, the legend states. All records were kept on gold tablets 4 feet long and 14 inches wide. On these tablets of gold having been the symbol of life to the legendary lizard people, will be found the recorded history of the Mayans. On one particular tablet, the southwest corner of which will be missing, is to be found the record of origin of the human race.
Sheffield stated that he has taken X-ray pictures of some 37 tablets, 3 of which have their southwest corners cut off. My X-ray pictures of tunnels and rooms, which are subsurface voids, and of gold pictures with perfect corners, sides, and ends, are scientific proof of their existence, Sheffield said. However, the legendary story must remain speculative until unearthed by excavation. The lizard people, according to Macklin, were of a much higher type intellectually than modern human beings. The intellectual accomplishments of their 9-year-old children were the equal of those of present-day college graduates, he said. So greatly advanced scientifically were these people that, in addition to perfecting a chemical solution by which they bored underground without removing earth and rock, they also developed a cement far stronger and better than any in use in modern times, with which they lined the tunnels and the rooms. Macklin said legendary advice to the American Indians was to
City laid out like a lizard. The lizard people, the legend has it, regarded the lizard as the symbol of long life. Their city laid out like a lizard, according to the legend, its tail to the southwest. So that's basically, he's just reiterating this article to us, which is pretty interesting. So that's where this story, like, evolves from. Now, they're kind of crippling this species that they're talking about by giving them such a downturned aging system. They're basically saying that these creatures are aging faster than we do, and that might be one of the reasons why they're not around as much or as open about them being around, because they age faster, which means, like, some lizards we know have long life, these lizards might not. These lizards might sit near, some of the other reptiles on our planet where they have like a 20-year lifespan. You know what I mean? While they might be highly intelligent, there's just not longevity in there at all.
I,
So,
I don't know. I mean, where did you get that feeling
because
from? I
they
guess.
said a 9-year-old of the lizard species is that of a college graduate.
Well, no, but they were talking about my understanding of that comment was they were talking about like its intellect, like where it's at mentally, as far as like understanding and like educated, and what it's capable of. I didn't take that as an assumption of that means they have a shorter lifespan. I just think that meant that they uh, mentally, they're so much past us that a 9-year-old version of them is as smart as a college graduate of us. That's what I took out of that. Not that
Okay.
they live a shorter lifespan. Just that
I
they mature and they're smarter than us. Is what I
Yeah,
took.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying is they mature. Their brains mature faster than ours. So if
Well, I
their
mean, but
brain
if
matures faster, what
that
else
doesn't mean
matures
that
faster?
doesn't. Yeah, I mean, you could guess and assume, but I mean that's I wouldn't take that from what he said as
Okay,
what he was
that's,
saying.
that's just one way I would view that. Like,
Yeah,
I would come to a conclusion that, like, oh yes, this species could
because I mean,
possibly
if
have a
they
shorter
are,
life
I
because
mean, because if they are that smart and that was a problem, I would think that's. I mean,
it would be their first.
if I was a species that only lived 20 years, but we were very smart, first thing I would be having my scientists do is figure out a way to change that. That wouldn't
Yeah.
be
Well, yeah.
that wouldn't last.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you. On that, I agree. I agree. That would definitely be, that's what are humans doing? We're having our scientists find ways to make us live longer.
yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
the wrong people are going to live longer.
Oh yeah, well, we know that. That's the given. But I hope they get the bad experiment. That's my hope.
seek the lost
So this
city
is
and
like 2 minutes
area
left.
within a chain of hills forming the frog and horse's hoof. The contour of the hills surrounding this region forms such a design, substantiating Shuffle's findings, he said. Shuffle's radio device consists chiefly of a cylindrical glass case inside which a plummet attached to a copper wire held by the engineer sways continually, pointing, he asserts, toward minerals or tunnels below the surface of the ground, and then revolves when over the mineral, or swings in prolongation of the tunnel when above the excavation. He has used the instrument extensively in the mining fields, he said. As is so often the case with these tales, this fantastic story ended with a whimper. Los Angeles Magazine said the following about the affair. The deal made by Shuffle and his small team of associates was a 50-50 split with the county, but the dig was plagued by challenges, dense boulders and plenty of mud after the shafts passed the water table. Some experts claimed the dig must reach 1,000 feet, and while Shuffle did accomplish 250 feet, he found no gold or tunnels. When winter turned to spring and the digging stopped, the money dried up, and the newspaper stories vanished, along with the radio x-ray. G. Warren, as he was called in the days of the great Lizard City quest, stayed around Los Angeles and finally passed on in North Hollywood in November of 1957, leaving behind a great story in this memorable map. Who were the lizard people in the 1934 Los Angeles Times article? Were they the same dreaded reptilians that Ike, Kasten, and others have written about extensively? Were they the fabled subterranean race of Hopi oral tradition? Something else entirely? Or was this just another in a long list of sensational tales, similar to the stories in the pulp fiction magazines of the day?
Audible is the best place to listen for.
That's a great question. I don't have an answer to it. I honestly don't. There's a whole bunch of things, like lizard related.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I worked a long day today. I'd say let's wrap it up for today, and I'll give you a
Yep.
call tomorrow on my day off, and let's line some stuff up to if we're gonna cover this stuff, let's set a day, and I'll do some more digging, and then we'll have some more fun with it.
Yeah.
I put in a 10-hour shift today, and yesterday was long, and my
All
last 2
right.
days have been rough. So I don't know if you see me. I've been over here yawning on the camera.
Yeah, I've been yawning a little bit too. I've been scanning in magic cards still.
Yep.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decks left. So not too bad there.
No, yeah, you're killing it. I got like 30 some decks left.
Yeah, I'll show you. I've got 22 decks. So
nice.
That's what it looks like. So you want to know what really surprised me? Is the most meanest deck me and Eileen own is the Goblin deck, and it's our cheapest deck.
Oh, I mean that's because the deck is strong because of the commander. All the goblins are commons and uncommons, so they don't hold any value. I mean that's the same like my Blanca deck. I can I took out Josh and DJ in one turn out of nowhere when they both thought they had the upper hand on me. But again, it's built with a bunch of common and uncommon instants and sorceries that just give them a turn boost. So I mean, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No. So that's.
I mean, as of right now, the cheapest deck of all decks that I've scanned is Kiriana's Werewolf deck. And it's mainly because most of the cards in there are, like all of the werewolves don't hold any value unless you're building a werewolf tribal, which isn't popular. So it does, you know what I mean? There's only a few cards in there that hold any value at all. And I mean, me and her laugh about it every time we scan in a new deck.
My wolf deck wasn't too low. It was around 100. And that's the other thing. My average deck is around 150, 170. is right there.
As of right now, the last time I did my calculation, out of the 33 decks that I've registered, I'm holding an average of 171.
Yeah.
I think that average is actually going to go up slightly. Obviously, not a lot with how many decks I have, but I think it is going to slightly go up because I still haven't really. The majority of my older decks haven't been scanned in yet, and those are going to hold a lot of my more valuable cards that I only have one copy of.
Mm-hmm.
So I would expect that to go up slowly, but we'll see. When I'm all done here, we'll see what
Yeah. I
how
don't have
it
a whole
pans
lot.
out.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of money in these last 7 decks. I got to scan in, and I still got to do all my uncommons and all my foils. I haven't even scanned I've scanned a few foils, but just
Yeah.
because they ended up random throughout some piles or whatever's in my decks that I use as foils. But other than that, yeah, I've got a giant stack of foil cards that I got to go through, and then the uncommon pile. That's where I'm at. So I'm pretty happy though. Like,
Yeah, hell yeah.
getting it done, knowing what I have and stuff is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but all right, let's get out of here, and we will talk to everybody later.
Welcome to the Late Night L.O.A.D. The Late Night L.O.A.D. Welcome to the Late Night L.O.A.D.